Hey guys, welcome to Anime Remix's first ever podcast, Bizarre Anime Vibes. This is our first ever one. I'm your host, Joe Fu, and I'm here with my co-host.
Drip Knight. Nice to meet you.
He has a YouTube channel, will be linked in the description. Anyway, this is a new thing that we're starting, and we're just trying to figure out the vibes of it, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like in the name, and see what you guys like. So if you have any suggestions of what you want us to talk about, feel free to leave them in the comments. Tell us that some new hot topics that might be blazing in your mind. Other than that, don't forget to Colossal smash that like button and subscribe to stay up to date with our newest podcast updates. And we also do anime figure unboxings. So yeah, Grip, now you got anything you want to say before we start?
Watch our shorts, watch this podcast, enjoy it all, and come visit our stores in Alpharetta and Beaufort, Georgia.
So for today's first episode, we decided to choose a topic that we thought would be hot with a lot of people since it's really big right now, and that is Chainsaw Man. More specifically, the first episode of Chainsaw Man and what we think of it. So, Drip, now you got anything you want to start off with?
Well, I think we're in a very unique precision, seeing how we have one person who has read the manga, fully understands the story, while we have one other person who completely has never even heard of Chainsaw Man until the announcement of the first trailer, second trailer, and the first episode.
All right. Well, so I'm the person who has read the manga, whereas Drip Knight here has never actually seen any form of Chainsaw Man media except, like he said, the trailers. So we have
And
two,
the first episode.
and the first episode, which we have now seen, obviously. We have very different point of views of how we see Chainsaw Man, which I think would be interesting since you won't be getting the same perspective from both of us. We'll each have our own thoughts and opinions to say. So before anything, I think we should start off where all things start, the intro.
That's true.
Me personally, I'm just gonna say this right off the bat. I think this was the most beautifully animated intro I've ever seen. Whether you think it's the best intro ever, that's up to you. But me personally, at least in terms of animation, I can't think of anything that personally tops it.
If I had to say anything, the coloring was on points.
Mhm.
Everything flowed beautifully. Everything from the grim nights all the way into the beautiful sunrise to the golden bell rolling on. Everything looked stunning color wise. Animation wise, I will give it to them. It was also very much amazing. I just personally wouldn't say that it was my number one animated opening.
You got anything off the top of your head you think might beat it?
Top of my head, maybe Konosuba opening 2. Animation wise, honestly, you know what? Konosuba is the really main one that comes to head.
I think personally, the Konosuba, I assume you're talking about opening two.
Oh, of course.
I think overall could be a better opening, but in terms of animation, I think Chainsaw Man's Kickback, which is the name of the song, easily tops it. But Konosuba is really good as it has a flow of animation for every frame. There's only 3 frames where there is no movement, and that is because they're paused in shock. Which yeah. But to go back to the Chainsaw Man opening, there's a lot of things I love about it. There's so much to talk about in the opening alone. We could honestly do a full episode on that, but we're gonna try and keep it short on that topic alone. So for the opening, one thing that really caught my eye was the beginning part of it where it was showing lots of movie references, which I didn't catch right away. The only thing that I did notice was the Pulp Fiction one with Samuel L. Jackson holding his gun. That one caught my eye, and I recognized that, but I thought it was just a parallel or like something that was like to reference, I guess, but I didn't think the whole intro was. But then I found out afterwards, and it made a lot of sense.
Anything from a movie to even anime itself. From another one, Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yeah, that was one that also caught my eye. There was even some people were saying they referenced 2 Marvel movies, one being Thor: Love and Thunder with the intro where it said Power's name, and the other one, even though I can't say 100%, I personally think this, it might have been a reference to Black Panther when Denji saw Makima. The background of the trees reminded me a lot of the place where in Black Panther, what is it? What's the character's name? T'Challa, sorry, saw his father in the afterlife, and he talked to him. The background and how it was like kind of like a wild in the wild and with the tree was very similar to the opening.
In the Purple Island.
Yeah,
Or the
there's a thing where Makima standing in an area that's very similar, and Denji's reaching out for her.
I see.
I thought that was interesting.
I find it very unique that the fact that they went that route for Chainsaw Man, seeing how I guess I remember when you once told me the manga creator loves to watch
Yeah,
movies.
that made a lot of sense for me actually because of that. I believe it's been stated on multiple occasions that the creator of Chainsaw Man, whose name slips my mind at the moment, loves movies. Like it's one of his favorite things to do is just go out and watch movies. So them putting lots of movie references in the opening made a lot of sense to me, as I feel like he had a say in that. Also, with just everything from movie references from the start to end, and the fact that it wasn't just like only an intro. There's ones later on where, like you said, the Fight Club reference with the giant golden ball, to even in the middle how I said Power and Thor: Love and Thunder, which is a really recent movie. So I'm shocked they were able to reference that. Granted, the logo had been out for a while, but still, it feels like that was just really recent, and the fact they were able to get that in is insane.
It makes me wonder when did they ever start production on the intro.
The fact that we, I believe, had a Chainsaw Man announcement, anime announcement for about a year and about a half, I guess, because I think it was summer of last year when we got first teased at it, makes me think that they've worked on this for a while and maybe have could have gone back to edit things.
Maybe like maybe take some out, maybe add
Hmm.
some new things in,
Yeah.
or maybe that might be something from a different Thor movie.
Nothing screams like that. Ragnarok's logo didn't match. Dark World and the OG Thor for sure no.
Rest in peace those movies.
Something like that.
But at least now we got a good show to tie us down though.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and with the intro, the actual song itself is a bop. I've been listening to it all day. Like I said, it's not my favorite song of all time, but I love it for sure. It's easily in my S tier if I had to rank anime openings.
It's not mid by any imagination. It is not mid. To anyone who might think, forget you. I believe it to be honestly maybe not in the god tier of like Tokyo Ghoul opening one. We are for One
Mm.
Piece. No way. I don't think it's in that tier, but is definitely not an anime opening music wise that you want and visual wise that you do not want to skip upon.
I will say this: if you guys do think it's mid, I would like to see why you think that in the comments, and we'll be more than happy to discuss with you, and even figure out what you guys didn't like about it. Because honestly, I think that'd be interesting. I like to hear different perspectives because even though we love the opening, I think it's interesting to see if other people didn't and why they didn't. Also, I think the opening just did a very good job of encapsulating the show without spoiling anything. Struggling with your drink there?
Indeed, I am. So we're gonna just leave it be for now.
All right. But yeah, the opening just did such a good job of not spoiling what was in the show itself while giving you the exact vibe you're going to get from the show. You know what I mean? Like with that intro shot with everything being rushed and just action paced, and then it just cuts to a scene in the movie theater where it's all just chilling and slow. And then it just immediately rushes back into them like just going crazy and having fun.
Oh, my personal favorite will actually be when they're in the movie theater because it shows their characters. Like,
Oh yeah.
even though I don't even know anything about Power,
Mhm.
never even heard of this character, and all I know is boobs, anime opening, Power. Bro, her cockiness when she took the guy's seat and then never give it back and made
The
like
girl seat.
person beg. It was in
Yeah.
the theater, in the movie
Yeah,
theater.
she made Kobeni. That was the character's name.
And then
You
he
don't know
made.
her yet, but
Well, I bet. Hey, all I'm gonna know is Power has a dominance over everybody.
yeah, she stole the seat of Kobeni if you go back to the opening. And when Kobeni got up to use the bathroom, Power stole her seat and made Kobeni get on her knees and beg to get the seat back, which Power still didn't give.
And also, you see Denji all the way to the left, just minding his own business. Has a
Hmm.
girl on his left, just and trying to enjoy the movie.
Yeah, that whole movie theater scene. I'm really happy you mentioned that because it just that literally encapsulated the English is failing me,
And
but it
Captain.
perfectly represented all the characters on screen there with Denji and Makima just being together and Denji letting Makima feed him, where we see Power stealing seats, Kobeni on her knees crying, and then I forgot her name, but there was a girl with the eye patch who's kind of like falling asleep because she doesn't care. And the one I like the most is Aki the whole time, literally not moving an inch, just staring at the screen, trying to pay attention to the
Is Aki the
movie.
one with the cool hair?
The one with the ponytail,
Ponytail?
upward ponytail.
Yeah, the one who looks like a samurai dude.
Yep,
Um,
yep. Aki, the guy who did that at the end.
I kind of don't remember that part.
Don't worry about it. You'll get there. You won't forget it after a while. But yeah, that movie theater scene just perfectly got everyone's personality perfect, and I love that. Especially as I've read the manga since I know these characters more than Drip Knight would here.
Yeah, I'm slowly learning about these characters, and I gotta say, I can't wait to learn more about the world, more about the characters, and more of like how Denji is gonna keep going up, I guess, as a demon hunter slash demon,
Yeah, Devil
which
Hunter.
devil hunter, which
Hmm.
kind of helps transit.
To the next point, let's talk about Denji and Pochita in the first episode. So I know a lot more about Denji and Pochita, but I think the first episode did, just for context. First episode was all of, I believe, chapter 1, maybe a bit of chapter 2 if my memory serves me right, but I know it got all of chapter 1 at the very least from what I remember. So the fact that the pacing for I'm already loving the pacing, by the way, that nothing felt too rushed, nothing felt too slow.
Especially when he was there being homeless
Mm,
and he was just eating a loaf of bread. Like they took their time on that scene to really make you know this guy, he is down. His father died, hanged himself, let all his debt to his own son. His son is barely surviving off a loaf of bread, which shows his kindness how he gives most of that bread
to
to his
Pochita.
best friend.
Yep.
So that shows like how he's nice without even having to mention that he's nice. It just shows his character
Hmm.
and also the fact that honestly the bread looked delicious.
I wouldn't say that, but
Well, okay, it looked depressing also in the house, but again, anime makes food look amazing. That cannot be undermined.
that's for sure.
And I guess I just really loved every scene. They always make it look like we want you to learn about this character. We want you to understand his emotions, how he feels. And now I'm just more excited for next week when episode 2 comes out.
Hmm. One thing I was really liked about the first episode was with Denji and Pochita, it showed you everything you really needed to know about his character. He doesn't have much. Fatherless, lost an eye, a ball, everything. And despite all this, he still takes care of Pochita. He's still trying to make his way in the world. And the thing that really showed you his character, in my opinion, was when he was being killed by the zombies. In that scene, he was questioning his whole life. He'd had nothing. He had was Pochita and barely a place to live, if you even want to call it that. He didn't have anything to really eat, and was essentially eternally paying off a debt that he was never gonna do, even in 5 lifetimes, probably.
And we just treated as a dog, not even treated as a human.
Yeah, he honestly he was just treated as a dog, and the fact that when he was getting killed, instead of like regretting his choices of not running away or killing the people who he owed money to or anything, the only thought he had was I too selfish? I had Pochita. Should I have been grateful for what I was given? Shows you how kind of a character Denji is, and how he doesn't he tries to see the best in, everything he has. He's never gonna look at a situation and be like, I should have done that. I should have done this. It's why didn't I do this? Why wasn't I grateful?
Like he didn't live his life with any
Mhm.
regrets.
And Pochita also, even though was mostly just barking for most of the episode, that little scene of Pochita talking to Denji really showed, I feel like, Pochita's character, saying, I always loved listening to your dreams. I've always enjoyed hearing you. And Pochita even staying around and helping. Yeah, they made a contract where Denji saved Pochita's life. Even that scene, I guess, to go back to it, showing how kind Denji is. He gave Pochita his blood, even though he had a day to make a ridiculous income. And even Pochita and him made a contract that day, and Pochita stayed and helped him make a living, essentially, or the closest thing I guess you could get to a living with his circumstances. And going back to what I was saying with Pochita, Pochita basically threw his life away for Denji, saying, I'll give you my heart as long as you get to show me your dream.
But back on that scene when his best friend made sacrifice his life to help Denji.
Mm-hmm.
If memory serves me correct, did he get a new eye? Another eye?
So with that, devils regenerate. Remember what he said? If when he was feeding Pochita his blood as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
it's heard that devils, when they get blood, can heal. They get stronger. They fix themselves. Like sort of like in Demon Slayer, how demons can regenerate. Devils need blood.
So does that mean that Denji no longer needs food to survive? He just needs blood as a vampire?
I wouldn't say that. I mean it's possible. I'll tell you. I'm trying to say nothing that spoils later stuff, but excuse me. But from what I remember, he still needs to eat. It's just blood helps him regenerate. And there goes a pop.
My greatest fear.
It's all good. But yeah. So because Pochita gave him his heart, and even Makima, who showed up at the end, said he's no longer fully human or a full devil, he's half human, half devil, he's able to regenerate. So he got his ball back, he got his eye back. The liver, I think he said he sold.
Probably got that back.
Mm-hmm. Liver or kidney.
I wonder why they didn't do kidneys. Like, is that a thing that made me? Because I know when like in Western media, it's always like the
He didn't
first
sell his
thing.
liver, he sold his kidney. The liver
Oh,
is
his
the thing
liver?
you need.
A
I
lot of
think.
livers can regenerate. Oh,
We're not. Can you tell I'm not that good with the human anatomy?
with
Anyway,
the same biology, we're safe.
anyway, let's talk about the next thing. Animation. This anime is beautiful. From start to end, the animation was insane.
I will not lie. I was kind of afraid when I watched the intro, or not the intro, but the trailer, and I saw CGI. I was like, CGI, so they're
There
gonna
was
do
no
mixture
CGI in the trailer.
in the trailer when I think it was a second trailer when everyone was hyping because he just turned a Chainsaw Man or he just became the devil,
Mm-hmm.
and then so like his 3D model like just flying in the air, cutting up
Oh,
blood,
you're right.
and I was like, so they have 3D, so they are going to use a little bit of 3D models in some areas. So I was afraid that there was going to be like that one scene everyone's gonna harsh about. Like if basically they skip one little thing and try to go easy on it and just put a 3D model and call it a day, someone was gonna be like call it out and say it looks terrible.
Mm-hmm.
First episode, the whole entire thing from start to finish, I didn't see a single thing that I don't think anyone on Twitter or anyone on Instagram or something like that would be like, this looks horrible.
Oh, there were a lot of people on Twitter and TikTok and everything complaining about CGI, but you're gonna get those anime fans anywhere you get. But majority of people had no issue with the CGI and think it looked fine, especially for like the episode, how beautiful the episode was. The fact that the CGI didn't look bad compared to the episode, I think screams volumes. Like if this CGI was put in a normal anime, it would have been people would have praised the CGI level. You know what I mean? The only reason I think it looks as bad as it did, not that it looked bad by any means, but it didn't. The only, excuse me.
I said the zombies. The zombies
Mm,
like insert like when they were just standing still, like there I'm like, okay, those are just 3D models, just really just
mhm.
doing like
But I feel like in any other anime, the CGI would have been praised of like, wow, this looks so good.
all
The
right.
only reason why people aren't praising it as being like this looks amazing is because the episode it was in just looked godlike.
It cannot be understood
Mm-hmm.
that they did not cut any
Mm-hmm.
corners. For me, it feels like they did not cut any corners. This is their best, and it's gonna just keep getting better as the scenes go on.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, again, no idea what's in store for the future. I don't know how many episodes they're gonna go for until for season one. Maybe they might do 12,
It's 12
24.
episodes for season one.
It's 12.
12.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'm gonna enjoy these 12 to the best of my abilities.
And to go back to what we were saying about with the animation, the first few shots of the episode of him just walking and like the shots of the street, the sidewalk, or the road he was walking down, the forest, those looked so amazing. Like to me, to some extent, they looked really lifelike, like alive, real. You know what I mean? Like someone could have went out in nature and took photographs of that. Obviously, you could tell it was animation when you look really close, but it would just floated so nice that it felt lifelike, if that makes sense.
I also agree with that. And also praise their face. Every character's face
Mm-hmm.
gave me like I understood what the emotion is like. I remember I heard this one quote
Mm-hmm.
from a famous 2D animated word like a Disney movie saying like if I watch an animation movie or show without any volume, I should be able to understand their emotion. And by far, if I watch Chainsaw Man muted with no audio, I could still understand their emotion that's going through.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I praise beyond praise for that.
That's a very good point. But yeah, moving past that, I mean, to stay on the topic, I guess, of animation ish, the zombie fight, just in general. They used a lot of CGI, but everything about it just, I feel like,
If I
as
had
someone,
honestly, I'm not gonna lie, if I had one right, now I'm thinking about it more and more, the huddle scene when they huddled around him
Mhm.
and he was in the middle like transforming into his demon form, his devil form.
Yep.
That's where I say like that might be the lowest point of the episode. The episode is still high,
Hmm.
but that might probably be the lowest point I say for me.
I thought it was funny. The fact that he was giving a big speech about like, oh, I'm coming at you guys at full power. This is what me and Pochita have, and he rips them or he pulls the motor, and nothing happens, and he just gets tackled by zombies, and you're just there for a minute, like, huh? The like he really thought he was that guy for a second, and then it burst out with the actual power and all that. I thought that was funny personally.
I can see, and also the sound effects.
Oh, it sounded audio was a whole nother thing. Like we already
That
talked about the intro, but like the SFX in the actual episode or OSTs just
I just want to know: did they grab an actual chainsaw, put it to a microphone, and then just record it for hours?
I wouldn't be able to tell you that, but yeah, that zombie fight in general, the gore of it, just I'm typically not a fan of gore. Like I can sit through gore, I don't have an issue with it, but I don't like unnecessary gore. For example, in Attack on Titan, great anime, love it. It feels like sometimes there's gore for the sake of gore. You know what I mean?
To add attention to it.
No, like it feels like sometimes they're just doing it because there's a lot of scenes where there is tension and gore, you know, but there is so many. Like for example, with if I remember correctly, in season 4, where
Spoilers for season 4.
spoiler for season 4 of Attack on Titan, when Levi's entire crew gets turned into Titans, and he was having to cut them one by one. They showed, I believe, if I remember correctly, they showed him like cutting the ears and stuff and all that, and the reason of that was because these were people Levi was talking to like less than 5 minutes ago. So having to cut these is not just cutting off a random tiny, he's cutting off his friend who, you know, he just lost. And that was for the sake of like to show like it's not just a simple cut, and it's like no, it's like you're making your friend bleed out essentially.
You're ending their life.
That's a scene that's like very impactful. You know what I mean? But there are examples of gore for the sake of gore. Like I can't think of one right now, but I guess there's times where like a Beast Titan is throwing rocks, and it's just like you're just witnessing people just explode. You know, you could debate that there's narrative purpose there. It's like oh, showing that he's killing people, but it feels like it's unnecessary to some extent.
I
At
say
least for me, that's my opinion.
I say when gore is really not needed is sometimes for like certain animes where they just show blood for the sake of blood, but really the person looks like they're at full strength. They're not even like taking any damage.
Yeah, I guess
Like in shonen animes, there's so many
that's a big
times
one.
in
Yeah,
shonen animes where it looks like, oh my gosh, they're bleeding, they're gonna die. Wait a second, why are they looking like they're at
I can
full
see what you're
strength?
saying. I guess Attack on Titan was a good example. All of the gore makes sense, but there's some examples where it doesn't. But with Chainsaw Man, this episode, despite the gore not really having narrative purpose, it still fit, if that makes sense. Because he's a chainsaw man. He's a chainsaw devil. It's not gonna be like a anime sword slash where it just cuts and it splits. It's like if he gets his hands on you, you're getting drilled alive, you know? And they're trying to impact that. It's not Denji's not just like doing swift cuts. It's going in, sawing them in half.
It's quite literally, I guess, a chainsaw.
Yeah, he's
Well,
the chainsaw man, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's not like a sword man or
Despite the gore being, and even before he turned Chainsaw Devil, with him being like slashed in the back,
that part. I
like
was also gonna be like, that's where I think the chorus was like, it was the goriest scene there.
oh yeah, like he was trying to run away after he got stabbed. Because when he first got stabbed, there was no impact or anything. It was just, oh, I've been stabbed. Like,
And also, oh wait, my best friend also been stabbed.
yeah. And then while he's getting away, it's just constant just stabbing. You hear his scream and everything. Shout out to the voice actor, he killed it. But
And also like the fact that I honestly thought he was gonna get away. To be honest, because again, I never watched the episode, never read the manga or anything like that. I thought he was gonna get away and then maybe find a place to heal. No, no,
oh yeah,
no, they killed him.
they just chopped him up. Like the scene of him in the what is it,
In
trash
the
can
dumpster.
or in the dumpster where his head was not even connected to his body, and like they were just like bits of it everywhere. It was insane.
Oh, and the blood dripped down.
Into Vegeta's mouth. Yeah, like despite the gore feeling unnecessary to some extent in Chainsaw Man, I personally loved it. Like there was something about it that was just different from every other anime gore that I've seen.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can agree with you on that one.
Yeah. Also, if it isn't apparent enough yet, if you don't like gore, maybe this isn't the anime for you, because as someone who's read the manga, I can say for sure this is not the goriest scene we're gonna get easily. It gets a lot worse.
Well, I guess I have something to look forward to when the show
Yeah.
keeps continuing.
Especially if you're a big fan of gore, this is definitely your anime. But overall, the impact of Chainsaw Man, I think, would be a nice thing to talk about, of how Chainsaw Man just affects anime in general.
Oh yeah. I say throughout my anime lifetime of loving anime, this is the first time I've ever seen people hype up a manga to the point where when the let me rephrase that. When the anime comes out, everyone keeps telling me this is gonna be the greatest anime
I mean,
of
well,
all
no, I
time.
don't even mean that. I'm talking about more specifically the impact it has on anime moving forward.
Oh, move forward. I thought you
Like,
talking about like the anticipation.
and it's not even just Chainsaw Man. I feel like, especially with newer gen anime, there seems to be a more twist of the genre of like accepting devils or demons. Like we have Demon Slayer where Nezuko's a demon and it's like, oh, she's one of the main characters. She's my sister. I need to heal her. But and that's I guess a more traditional like anime in the sense of like we need to defeat the devils. But like look
Actually,
at I
also,
haven't seen Black Clover, but correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't also some form of a devil,
yeah, and then
and
Yu
then
Hakusho.
there's that's an old gen though. I'm talking about new gen.
Oh, New
It
Gen.
has a it's pushing for more devil and demon like things, which I mean I don't have an issue with, but I've just noticed it's getting darker. Like also like you said, being a devil,
The Devil's a
there's
part timer.
I was gonna say like Jujutsu Kaisen with like Yuji being and Sukuna fused together, Denji being a chainsaw devil, etc. etc. Anime's having this more dark push towards it,
More
and
satanic.
I don't want to use that word because I feel it has a more negative connotation to it,
Because that's Satan in it.
essentially. But I think more is just having a darker turn, and I'm personally liking it. Like we're still getting our friendly animes, our like ranking of kings and all that. But even then, I guess that was pretty.
Rented girlfriends.
I I haven't
Wait,
seen that, but sure. My point is, it's that anime like Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, even some mangas that aren't anime like Hell's Paradise have a more dark turn towards it. But I like it personally. It's just despite that, it feels like anime, more so shonen anime, is taking a more turn towards like dark stuff. Because look back to Naruto, Ichigo, Luffy, like these characters, they were never demonic. You know what I mean? To an extent,
well, Naruto.
they were never like demon, 100% demon. Or like the show wasn't focused
Well,
around them.
Ichigo. You haven't watched Bleach, but to everyone who watched Bleach, you know me. I'm on card. You'll know. If you watch it, I'm on card.
But still, I feel. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're not like battling a demon episode one internally. Sukana,
Oh,
Pochi, like they're not embracing a devil inside them from episode one.
not so one, but like later on.
Later on, yeah, near the end, I guess. But a lot of anime eventually go to some form of devil-like, etc. But it's feeling like there's just a more dark turn. Even with Chainsaw Man, with the gore we were just mentioning, with Jujutsu Kaisen, it feels like there's more like blood and gore in it as well. Demon Slayer is literally chopping off the heads of demons. You know,
I can see your argument. I can see
mm-hmm.
where you're being made. I I personally think that maybe like they'll. I don't think Chainsaw Man is going to be the impact that devils are more accepted in shonen anime or just anime in general.
I think it will.
I maybe it might help push it more that
I think there's been a push with, like I said, Black Clover, Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Chainsaw Man. Now that it's finally getting animated, it might be the final push for it to be a more like, I guess, base ground for a lot of manga. It feels like it was the one in terms of at least manga to push it over the edge. But
I mean I feel like I'll believe it the day I see like a little child holding like a
I mean, I'm not
chainsaw
saying
or
I don't think
anything.
it's. I'm not saying it's literally affecting to say devils are in society are normalized anymore because devils and demons will always have that negative connotation in religion and all that nonsense. But I'm saying in manga, in anime, it's pushing for a more like the main character can be half demon, half devil, can be more demonic like. That's what I'm trying to say. Whereas you look at Luffy, Luffy's just a monkey D. Luffy. He's a rubber kid. Naruto and Ichigo, when you first see them, you know, in their like
Like
first few episodes.
Goku.
Or Goku, yeah, like when he was a kid, they're not like demon like at all. But then you look at Asta, you look at even Tanjiro, like not really, but Sukana and in Jujutsu Kaisen, Denji, they're pushing for, oh yeah, our main characters are demonic and demon like, and it's okay. You're not getting your Gones, your I mean Deku's. You still get them every now and then, but it's pushing for a more dark turn that you wouldn't see back then. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, best example I can give is in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Jonathan's the main character in the part one, right?
Yes.
Where it feels like if JoJo was made today, Dio could have been a main character. You know what I mean? In terms of half vampire. Like in how do I word this? Like Jonathan would have if it would be okay for Jonathan to put on the mask. And the story would have been about him. You know what I mean?
The chivalrous man turned vampire.
Exactly. Like in the first episode, he puts on a mask and the story follows him being half vampire, half human. You see what I mean?
Okay, that'd be interesting. Like what if story?
What if? But I'm saying it feels like, for example, with Yuji, he found the finger, ate it, he became Sukuna. I'm saying we see stories like that now, where it's like if JoJo was made today, it's like, oh, Jonathan finds his own mask, puts it on, becomes half vampire, half human. Denji is friends with Pochita. They die. He gets Pochita's heart, becomes half human, half devil. Do you see what I'm saying? It's pushing for a more.
Actually, now back to the whole Vegeta thing when they first met.
Yeah, let's go back to James 7. We went off on a ramble there, but yeah, I went off on a ramble.
Well, I guess I can't really ask you a question because you already read the manga, but
I can answer it to the best of my abilities without spoiling.
How did I'll probably butcher his name? Pochita?
Pochita. Yeah.
Pochita. How did who injured him?
He got stabbed too.
By who though? Like, are they ever? Do you think are they ever gonna like say like who stabbed him?
Oh, from the beginning.
From the beginning, like when they first met, like he was a kid.
I mean, I think it's kind of devils aren't exactly liked by people, and Pochita's not that big. So like I would imagine it makes sense just in general for devils to be attacked whenever they're found by humans, unless they're strong and the devils fight back. Weaker ones, small ones.
Also, they're the bounty, something like that.
I mean, I don't know if it's a bounty, but like you probably turn it in for a reward, you know?
Oh, so that's how it works. So it wasn't a bounty system. It was based off like.
I mean, I don't want to say because spoilers, but I also
based off the episode 1, like because I know they mentioned something about like you get this.
He mentioned he killed the tomato devil, and then they said, "Cool, we can sell this on the black market." So it's not like you can turn into the police and be like, "I killed this devil. Where's my money?"
Oh, so it's not really. I guess
you can do
really a bounty thing.
They wanted to sell I believe, if I remember, the tomato devil's parts on the black market.
Oh, so not him.
I mean, I guess they could sell himself or like his parts or whatever. I might be wrong there.
Okay, and I guess. Yeah. Yeah, because in the black market, like
black market is a whole thing. Yeah, but overall, I think my point of what I was trying to say before, the impact of Chainsaw Man is gonna be a big one, and it's pushing for a more. It's okay for your main character to not be a 100% nice guy, or it can be a nice guy, but it's okay to give him demon powers. You know,
you give him demon powers, but you also make the character so lovable, and you feel so bad for him.
Yeah, to some extent. But how long till we get a character who's just evil and has demonic powers?
And we have to like him. Or I guess
I mean, you don't have to like him. Look at Death Note. A lot of people don't like Light, even though he's the main character. He's the villain. He's the villain of the story, but he's the protagonist. That in Death Note's a really good example. So I'm saying, how long until we get a story where the protagonist is also the villain?
Ooh.
See what I mean? Like Death Note. Death Note being a very unique case, but
and actually never really seen replicated.
Exactly.
Hey, that could be a podcast for another day.
Tropes in anime that we don't see anymore.
That's true.
Yeah. If you guys want us to talk about that, leave it in the comments and we'll think about it. Or we'll, if we get enough traction, then we can definitely talk about that.
And of course, while also here, if you have any other ideas, leave in the comments below as well.
Anyway, I think it's time to wrap this up. So we should just ask the big question: is Chainsaw Man worth the hype? Me personally, I 100% think it is. It's been hyped, like you were saying earlier. It's been hyped up from even before the anime came out. This is easily the most hyped up manga I've ever heard before an anime was even announced, the most popular for sure. And based off the first episode, I think from what I've seen on social media, on Twitter, TikTok, etc., people are giving it the love and definitely thinking it's not overhyped. It was given a proper amount of hype, if anything.
Was Chainsaw Man worth the hype? As someone who's never read still, I want to say the first episode delivered everything that I promised within the trailers. But as for the first episode giving me what I've been hearing over the internet. I still wouldn't make a full on opinion yet until like the later episodes come out. So that's really just honestly how I feel at the moment. I will honestly say though, the way that they made the trailers, the way that they timed the release for everything, I say was flawless. It was great promotion. It was amazing, and again, first episode fulfilled everything I ever wanted from the trailers. It's just the manga readers and everyone on the internet. I'm still waiting to feel that hype. If you understand what I mean, you
No,
catch
for
my drift.
sure. But I don't think the first episode will give you the full hype the Chainsaw Man experience gave. For me, it was after I finished the manga where I took a step back and really appreciated for what it was. Like, I obviously enjoyed the ride because I finished it in 2 weeks. I couldn't put it down, but and I've known people who finished it in like a day, for example. But the whole 97 chapters, it was just that good to them. For me, it was
Wait, are
so.
they gonna cover 97 chapters in 12
It's not.
episodes?
It's gonna get season 2 and 3 probably.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Sorry to interrupt.
no, you're fine. I think the first episode, like for you, you said it delivered what you were expecting. At least for a first episode, it satisfied you. Introduced you to the character, the main character, introduced you to his, I guess, power, and gave you everything you need to know about him.
In a non-annoying way, like other animes when they tell you like, yo, this character, man, he's terrible, but he's strong.
Everything felt
Like,
natural. Like
honestly,
it didn't feel like we needed exposition. The only scene that you can even say that was when the people he's paying off his debt to, the mafia, or no, not the mafia, it was the Yakuza. When he's paying off debt and the Yakuza's like, that's what he gets for paying off his debt. Well, technically it's his dad's debt. That's literally the only scene I can think of where it felt like exposition, but even then we see it a few seconds later with the whole like flashback of how he met Pochita and at his dad's funeral.
so which honestly the exposition helped greater made the past scene.
Make more sense in context.
Yep. And added like more, I guess.
Mm.
What's the word? Not tension, but makes you feel bad more.
Makes you feel for Denji more and
Yeah.
understand his character.
Yeah.
Everything else felt natural with him talking to Pochita, him, what is it, questioning his life morals when he was getting killed, to him when he was coming back and everything.
Yeah, it's not like a Hunter situation where dialogue, if you miss the dialogue, or like Science if you miss the dialogue.
You're confused. Yeah, everything. And even like with Makima, when she entered at the end, and they were like, oh, she's like, oh, he's not half human or half devil. The reason why she's saying this is because the guards behind her were like cautious of like, oh, should we approach? Should we kill? She's like, no, he's not devil, but he's not a human, or he's not fully human. He's half and half.
I found it so sweet at the end saying, "Can I get a hug?"
Yeah, I mean, we know Denji is a very he's very lonely, so a hug is. I feel like it was fair to ask, you know.
Yeah, and then the fact the mask melted away, and we got a little adorable scene.
Which I found interesting because I never really knew how it like
Oh, the manga
went
never
away.
showed like melting.
As far as I remember, it doesn't, but I could be 100% wrong there. But I always wondered like how it disappears. I thought it kind of just like poofed away or like faded into gas
Or
or
maybe he just
something.
takes off the helmet, but the chainsaws, I don't know how they're gonna get.
I knew he didn't just take it off because his hands were also chainsaws, but yeah, I found it interesting to see it all just melt away, especially when it was. And if you notice, it was when he got a hug, a simple human gesture, a nice one at that.
So I guess his powers may be controlled by his emotions.
Possibly.
Oh, and also like he has to rip off like boom.
Yeah, the motor. I love that activation.
So I guess make sure emotional state, and then
Lots of questions. I'm sure we'll get more answers as the season continues.
oh, very much so. No, I'm excited to see how this is gonna go. And I remember one other thing, the ending. You once told me that they could be trying something different for the ending.
Yeah, so there's no visuals for at least for the first episode's ending. I think it's going to stay that way. However, the reason they're doing this is because there's going to be 12 different songs for each episode ending. Basically, each ending has a different song. So I think it would have been weird to have like a visual that doesn't really match for some of them, or it would have been hard to match a ending visual that matched for 12.
Can't deny that it would be very much difficult. And to reanimate or animate like 12 different ones.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, overall, I've loved the first episode. I've seen it already like 3 or 4 times. I just couldn't stop. Like I just kept watching it over and over. I was in love with it, animation wise, story wise, everything, voice acting, music. The opening has been nonstop on my Spotify. It's just really good. You?
Me, well, you guys already heard everything I need to say. And all I gotta say, I guess what I could say now is bring me some more Chainsaw Man in the future. Let it not disappoint. Let the hype still continue, or hell, let it increase to the point where it might be like to the point like Demon Slayer episode 19 level, where everybody is gonna say there's a revolutionary moment in anime history. Because I think Chainsaw Man, out of all the animes this year, can make that moment happen.
Oh, for sure. I think it definitely can.
I just don't know what the moment's gonna be, but
yeah. It just comes down to how far they get in the manga, or like how far they got in the anime to the manga, and how they animate it.
adaptation. Yeah.
And I think I'm also honestly not worried about how they animate these scenes anymore. I just can't wait to see how they animate them at this point.
I agree there.
All right. Well, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for our first podcast. This has been Bizarre Anime Vibes. Thank you guys for watching. Check out our channel if you haven't already. Like I said, colossal. Smash that like button and subscribe. Stay up to date with all our stuff. And yeah, we'll see you later. Have a nice one, guys.